This Twitter as of 14 past 6 p.m. on Tuesday, the 20th of September 2022. Right, Carl, what are you doing with the emojis? Maybe, unless you run out of space, like there's no reason for that, man. It's type to type out the individual countries instead of putting in the flags. Trump team alerts special master they didn't want to submit info about the classification of records. Special master process will have forced the plaintiff to fully and specifically to disclose a defense to the merits of any subsequent indictment. I don't understand any of that. Spoiler alert, Trump didn't declassify any of it. He's a thief and took national secrets for his own personal benefit. Well, what's his benefit? Oh, I'm not going to look any further because there's spoilers and I haven't seen any of House of the Dragon yet. But just there's very little gay representation in Game of Thrones. I'm honestly surprised that there was any gay people in Game of Thrones. I didn't expect Game of Thrones to be a world with gay people. Like, I'm only on season 5, episode 3, but there's only like one episode where you have a gay couple, and like their scene had, from what I remember, no relevance to the story whatsoever. Because I don't know about Ice the Dragon, because as I said, I haven't seen it yet, but it does seem to have really good ratings. Like, as good as Game of Thrones. But the only problem with Game of Thrones, apparently, is the ending. And it didn't suck because no gay people or anything like that. It sucked because they rushed it. And I think they rushed it because they just ran out of books. Working at a school. I mean, you know, obviously schools aren't saying about all that, but they'll be like, we care. We care. Controller just dropped. We care about you. And then when you're at your lowest, they turn in the low tier god. And if the teachers knew that reference, they'd be like, how dare you say that? That's not true at all. I heard something about people calling it watchdogs, which I don't understand. There's no freedom of speech if the only political views that are allowed to be expressed are the ones we agree with. My letter to the Chief Constable following the arrest of anti-monarchy protesters in my constituency. I can't say a bloody word. Their party passed some of the most stringent anti-free speech laws in the whole of the UK. People were getting arrested for spicy jokes and memes online, and for years, you never cared. But now it's your own speech on the blog. Suddenly you care. Hollow crap. This is the same party that wanted to give you a 7-year sentence for literally possessing an offensive meme on your phone. American Cyber Psycho. How do you feel about the ending? Insulated wires are 20 cents. But insulated wires with USB connector, $20. If a woman creator goes viral, as YouTubers said, she will undoubtedly be subject to a waterfall of hateful comments. No. If her content is crap, then yeah. But it's not because she's a woman, it's because her content is crap. I'm trying to think of like a female YouTuber that no one hates, but the problem is that there's not a lot of female YouTubers who are big. Like, I don't think I watch any. Other than the immediate future. Let me just check. Okay, everyone I follow are men. Except for the media teacher. Any musicians that I follow that are women. And also, if you want to count Fibsy Pop, which I don't think, anyone sending any hate up to her. So, boom, go screw yourself. Why, as a military publication, I didn't even notice that. Writing a piece by Taylor Lorenz about YouTube harassment. Because you're ruled by a theocratic oligarchy that relentlessly infiltrates every cultural and state institution and uses them to create an omnipresent stream of propaganda. I'm watching a 5-minute video. All are welcome here became, get the hell off our island very quickly. There are thousands of migrants crossing the border every day, but the people is just too much for Martha's Vineyard. Russian nationals living in Estonia will have their firearms forcibly confiscated by the police if they refuse to hand them over voluntarily under new law. I do not support this. We should all have the right to bear arms to defend ourselves. And it seems to be that they're getting them confiscated just because they're Russian. Because the top Russian, who these other Russians might not even support, but because the top Russian is doing bad things. Well, I mean, I don't like Liz Truss, so, if she does something, and, well, Brits don't have guns, but let's just say that would do for a minute. She does something bad, she goes to war unjustifiably, and she becomes the current thing they hate. Don't take my guns away for it. I probably can't play that. It's too late. Portland's homelessness crisis as a result of poor political leadership is also a biohazard crisis. Human waste and used needles line the streets. Video recorded at Southwest 3rd and Southwest Harvey Milk Street in downtown shows a person who fell asleep after having diarrhea. And they say Portland is a great place. Let's check in on progressive cities. Despite Biden declaring that the pandemic is over, White House stepped in to clarify that this didn't mean public emergency health powers were being relinquished. Oh wow, look at that. So it's just Biden saying words. It doesn't actually mean anything. Thank you for coming out and actually going mask off, White House. Biden and his wife embarrassed America on the world stage yet again Monday when they turned up late for Queen Elizabeth II's funeral in London. Yeah, it was because he refused to take a... Like, he was offered to go by some form of transport, I forget, probably a limo, and he said no. During comments at the ironically titled United We Stand Summit last week, Biden declared that he had run through American history and once again singled out those who didn't agree with his politics as violent extremists. To start this, they said they were a sanctuary destination. These were people who were basically destitute and then put into a situation where they could have succeeded. But that was all virtue signaling. New podcast is up. I'm not paying for your podcast, Paul. Artist and art critic Alexander Adams exposes how art has been weaponized by the left to impose subversive social engineering. A group of protesters in the UK were arrested and imprisoned for inciting racial hatred because they were carrying a Russian flag. Yes, really.
Well, this is coming when, there's all of this wealth, and you hear about it, comes as England is facing rising costs of living, a living crisis, austerity budget cuts, and so on. And then you have those who are asking for reparations for colonialism, and they're wondering, $100 billion, $24 billion here and there, $500 million there. Some people want to be paid back, and members of the public are wondering, why are we suffering when you have all of this vast wealth? Those are legitimate concerns.
Well, I think you're right about reparations in terms of if people want it, though, what they need to do is you always need to go back to the beginning of a supply chain. Where was the beginning of the supply chain? That was in Africa. And when across the entire world, when the slavery was taking place, which was the first nation in the world that abolished slavery? The first nation in the world to abolish it. It was started by William Wilberforce, was the British. In Great Britain, they abolished slavery. 2,000 naval men died on the high seas trying to stop slavery. Why? Because the African kings were rounding up their own people. They had them on cages waiting in the beaches. No one was running into Africa to get them. And I think you're totally right. If reparations need to be paid, we need to go right back to the beginning of that supply chain and say who was rounding up their own people and having them handcuffed in cages. Absolutely. That's where they should start. And maybe, I don't know, the descendants of those families where they died in the high seas trying to stop the slavery, that those families should receive something too, I think, at the same time.
It's an interesting discussion, Hillary. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. We'll continue to discuss in the future. So remember the impact of the supply chain crisis on the economy during...
Long Lemon tells royal commentator Hillary Fordwich the royal family should pay reparations, immediately regrets it. This is delectable.
But let's just call them progressives. They argue that all art should be political. But then when you say, well, what about my politics? No, not your politics, not those politics. They're fixated with this intersectional self-delusion that identity politics has to be present in everything. If you're not addressing their pet causes, that you're somehow endorsing the opposite of that. But surely, Alexander, the most invigorating art that lasts through time and history is that which rises above the political fray, that appeals to kind of universal principles that offer insights into the human condition beyond anything political or consolations for the human condition. Surely that kind of art is what resonates through eons, rather than art that gets bogged down in pet political causes of the time. But let's just call them progressives. They argue that all art should be political.
So being weaponized progressives, same way movie has been. I don't know, really my only opinion on art, or well, modern art, is that it is a bunch of crap that, because of media studies, people will give it all these bloody meanings that just aren't there. Like there was Someone painted a canvas blue, and then had a white stripe down the middle, so that it looked like, I don't know if it was the intention or not, but it looked like a tennis court from a bird's eye view, and that sold for millions. And then you have the people like, this represents whatever. They'll say something like racism because of that white line. It's representing boundaries or borders or something. I'm gonna play Mass Effect 2. I'll be in this school. We didn't finish Three Colors Blue. Don't know if we're going to. Honestly, not surprised that I didn't finish it. In mentoring, I'm very close to finishing my personal statement. I just need to find my GCSE results. Oh, okay, let me correct that. Need to get my mum to find my GCSE results. Then write that down. And I think that's me. No, I have another paragraph to do, but it's an outro paragraph. I forgot that I was supposed to go to my, I don't know what to call her, prefect leader, prefect boss. I'm gonna call her the boss. Who, I've seen her around. I didn't know she was an English teacher, and from what I have seen of her, she does seem to be a bit of a not a good one, to put it lightly. But you know, I said, man, I was supposed to go there, and Edward said, yeah, just go to her once we're done. She's just right there next door. Oh, okay. So I'm trying to remember. Oh, I did. As sorry, we were supposed to meet at lunch. I completely forgot. And she said, "Wait, we're supposed to be at lunch." Well, like I go to another school. First 5 periods. Oh, okay. You're, and she knows my name, despite the fact that all I said was we were supposed to meet at lunch. I do moving image, basically. I don't know how all these bloody teachers who I don't think she's new, but there are a bunch of new or new-ish teachers, ones that joined last year, that know my name, despite the fact that I've never had them ever, not even for like a substitute or anything like that. But she explained what's going on. I'm a prefect for literacy and the library. She didn't explain much of what that means. What she did say is that she gave, they're free prefects for literacy and library. She gave one of the other people last week a bunch of like posters or something to hang up, and she did. She said, "I've got nothing for you to do now, but I might later. Either go now or go tomorrow, and meet the librarian and get introduced to her." Despite the fact I don't really need to do that, considering like we know each other well, because I've been borrowing books from the library like quite a lot since like just before the pandemic. So whenever I'm free, instead of reading, or well, you're not even supposed to read anymore. It's supposed to be that if you've got nothing to do, you need to email your teachers and say, "Can you give me something, please?" Instead of doing that, I'm supposed to go up to the library and go, "Can I help you out with anything?" And then I guess if she says no, then I have to email the teachers and ask for work. But I mean, I'm not gonna do that. Honestly, who would? I am going to read. I caused a bit of panic in the English group chat because I asked we have a homework due on Thursday, and it was like how does Shakespeare present the complex nature of Lear's relationship with his? It either says his daughter or his daughters. Like I don't know if it's focus if you have to focus on one particular daughter or talk about all three of them. So I asked the group chat, and I said, in the essay, do we write about one particular daughter or all of them? And they're like, well, there's an essay. I was like, sorry, I don't know if it's an essay or just a simple paragraph, but you know, one daughter or all of them. And I haven't got an answer yet because they're just saying like, oh, so when's it due? Thursday. Sounds like a problem for tomorrow, me then.